Esse aqui é o resumão do Road. Eu vou te mostrar as melhores jogadas, as piores jogadas e tudo de importante que aconteceu no campeonato. Mas eu preciso te dar um recado rápido antes. A Black Friday do Editor de Respeito vai acontecer em breve, no dia 21 de novembro. Para saber mais sobre como participar, é só entrar no primeiro link da descrição. E agora, sobe na mochila e vamos lá! O ano de 2025 trouxe mudanças importantes para o Mundial de League of Legends. Dessa vez, cada região teria direito a 3 representantes com acesso direto ao evento principal. O Play-In virou apenas uma melhor de 5 entre os 4 colocados da Coreia e da China, que no caso eram Invictus Gaming e T1. A T1 venceu a IG por 3-1 e garantiu a vaga no evento principal. Além disso, pela primeira vez, as séries melhor de 3 e melhor de 5 usariam o Fearless Draft. Ou seja, se um campeão fosse escolhido em um jogo, nenhum dos dois times poderia usá-lo de novo. Na primeira rodada da fase suíça, uma das maiores surpresas foi o duelo entre BLG e 100 Thieves. Bin, considerado um dos melhores top laners do mundo, parecia estar jogando de Rek'Sai pela primeira vez.
Nice pick onto the support as well. And his only end up losing their junglers. Bin, what is Bin doing? BLG.
Ainda assim, a BLG estava na frente em ouro, até que aos 22 minutos, na luta pelo terceiro dragão, a 100 Thieves vence a luta e inicia o Atacan. A BLG nasce e decide contestar.
They see it, they run, they're looking to escape. A tunnel user TP as well as Bin is there, but he's isolated by himself. FBI rampages over the Void Queen. Dokla doing the same, sends the ulti. Knight fails the flash, he can't escape either. And the 100 Thieves are planning the heist of a century.
BLG are crumbling.
Depois dessa luta, a BLG não conseguiu se recuperar. A 100 Thieves finalizou a partida aos 31 minutos. Ainda na primeira rodada, Ramo Alive Esports enfrentou Anyone's Legend. A partida estava equilibrada até que aos 25 minutos, a HLE decide fazer o Baron e a AL chega para contestar.
This is a really risky thing. They're going to look to take the bear, but it is secured by Peanut, but now AL's coming in to look to take the fight. The light gets bound up here by the Tangle Barbs of the wall as Shanks is now going to be the target. Viper jumps in with a killer instinct. He's already found Shanks. Now he's found Hope. It's Viper. Fangs bared, looking to win the fight. He finally drops as Tarzan and Kyle try to fight back. Zeus and Zeka need to take down the Pantheon, and they'll get him. Kyle, the only one to try to escape here as HLE claims the Baron.
Apesar de ficar com o buff, a HLE não consegue fazer muito com ele. Aos 33 minutos, acontece outra luta no Baron, mas dessa vez a equipe chinesa leva melhor. Enquanto a AL finaliza o Baron, Viper tenta fazer o drag sozinho, mas Kael chega para disputar.
It's just gonna be Nico support.
All right.
Just finish it, Viper.
Kyle's got to try to stop him. I don't think it's gonna... Unless he Pop Blossom steals it, there's no way! He got it! Kyle with the miracle steal! The Pop Blossom!
Depois disso, a HLE não conseguiu voltar para o jogo e foi derrotada aos 41 minutos. Na segunda rodada, o confronto entre T1 e CFO foi surpreendente. Logo aos 4 minutos, Dogo garantiu First Blood com seu Draven. Aos 13, tentam um pick-off em Faker, mas tudo dá errado. Enquanto isso, na mid lane, Dogo vai para cima de Gumayushi embaixo da torre. Aos 28, Jundia garante a alma do dragão e logo depois, na luta pelo Baron, mais uma teamfight explode.
Driver is low as well, but he's got a shield. Doran once again on Inguma with the range of steal as potential, but no. Smite is better. A realm of into Guma's face, but he spaced him, he's ranged him, and Faker stares him in the face. However, the pop back is massive. CFO are doing it, and even with the ulti avoided by Doran, he's down 2, and in the LCP, we believe.
Depois de pegarem o buff, a T1 não teve mais chances. A CFO faz o push final e derrota o super time da T1. Ainda na segunda rodada, Genji enfrentou Anyone's Legend. A equipe coreana estava com 4.000 de ouro de vantagem, mas a chinesa já tinha 3 dragões. Na luta pelo quarto dragão, Ruler pulou com sua caixa para o meio da teamfight como um super-herói. mas falhou miseravelmente.
It ain't stealable as Keen pops the ulti. The all out there. He is getting poked down and Shanks is sending away to the Supreme Display. Will find the mark on the side and Ruler jumped in to a Poppy with a steadfast presence. Dragon stolen and the fight for AL taken away. Kael, this pick pays dividends.
A AL aproveitou, fez o Baron e abriu uma boa vantagem em ouro. Depois pegaram o Dragão Ancião e finalizaram a partida. Agora, na fase de eliminação e classificação para os playoffs, BLG e Kate Stars protagonizaram uma das séries mais agressivas aos olhos de todo o torneio. O primeiro jogo começou com ambas as equipes executando dives que deixariam qualquer jogador do prata com inveja.
Yeah, Shadow wants to at least get another summoner spell up here. Takes a chomp out of Boal. Immediately taking a lot of turret aggro. Shadow with a late flash. What in the hell is going on? BLG just gift wrapped it. Boal gets a double kill.
They're going to zone Elk away from as much farm as they can. They secure a plate as well.
They get the clone out of the Nico on, trying to buy a little bit of time, but no, it's VKS teaching last year's Worlds runner-up how to do a tower
the level
dive.
up!
Chains of Corruption coming out now. They want a little bit more damage. Morteo's barely hanging on to life into Samus as well. A double kill for the Nico with the minions.
Aos 20 minutos, acontece uma das lutas mais feias da série.
As Knight is just trying to keep everybody on VKS away. The Otacon down to 3,000 HP. On playing defensive here with the Pop Blossom, just trying to create enough space. Thornbound Otacon secured. Boal dives into the BLG front line as they root up Bin, but they do not have the damage to try to kill him. The bouncing bomb barely missing out on Tribbius. Miru's going to be the first to die. There's no way out for the Emperor. There's no way through for VKS.
Aos 29, a BLG abre 1-0. No jogo 2, aos 14 minutos, Mireu colocou todas suas mecânicas de Thalia em prática.
Themselves 3 kills, but PLG's not done yet.
Yeah, Shadow wants to step forward, but he's chunked to half HP. Trimby continuing to get away as Miru rides the Weaver's wall in, but it knocks Shadow onto the wrong side, so he's still safe, and now Miru's gonna be your target. Just completely exploded, but still alive for an extra second. Knight takes him out with the Sigil of Malice. It's a double kill now as DeSamus falls too. The LeBlanc is getting fed, and VKS needs to run. Ben's here to cook him up. Triple kill over to Knight. The LeBlanc gets a quadra. 15 minutes into the game.
Aos 28, On flecha pra cima da Cade sozinho.
Is just gonna be able to get a free tower.
Now Morteo's in a lot of danger. He's exhausted, but the rest of the team shows up to immediately back him up.
Aos 38, Mireu se recusa a voltar para a base e gasta um belíssimo flash.
Miru is very far up. I mean, he's just there. He's gonna get picked.
Yeah, Miru slammed into the wall. He tries to go for a little bit of Gromp gaming. He flashes even, trying to get away.
Aos 43, vemos a incrível decisão de Boal de usar TP antes de limpar a onda de minions que invade sua base.
Trying to defend this. Ben coming around here from the side as well. Drops the equalizer defensively. Shadow going in after Miru with the redemption. Keeps the VKS mid laner alive. The push from VKS stopped for
That's
now.
a
TP coming in from Boal, but Ben's gonna TP into the enemy base. Ben wants to end the game. Boal's teleport has left the base vulnerable. Now Ben joins up with the super minions. The defense has to be mounted. Miru's the only one who can try to TP. He's
got no health,
but he has no health. Miru going golden, trying to survive as Shadow and Out distract, and Ben will end the game at the Nexus. VKS fought well, but not well enough. BLG move on!
Também tivemos a equipe taiwanesa CFO chegando às quartas de final. Desde 2015, uma equipe de Taiwan não chegava à fase eliminatória do Mundial. Esses foram os classificados para a fase eliminatória. Abrindo as quartas de final, um duelo coreano, Gen.G versus Hanwha Life Esports. O primeiro jogo estava disputadíssimo, com as equipes bem próximas em ouro. Aos 32 minutos, a Gen.G inicia o Baron. A HLE chega para contestar e estoura a última teamfight da partida.
Coons his way out. Kane has also found the knock-up onto Zeus. It could have been the mistake as he throws down the ulti. They look for a bit more, but it's Ruler that's dominating. And now it's a 4v5 in Gen.G's favor. And they're looking for a Baron themselves. HLE, they do not want to let this go. But I think they might even have to as Canyon goes in. Seismic shove. Not going to quite find it as Duro finds another Pop Blossom onto everyone that was left, and then it's mopped up by the Aatrox. Peanut's back was stopped this entire time. Nexus turrets now lie in ruins. As this, he's trying to protect it, but it does not work. First Nexus is claimed by
Gen.G.
O jogo 2 foi o mais intenso da série e um dos mais longos do campeonato. Começou com um duelo pegado na top lane.
Didn't want to make himself too vulnerable, but Zeus, he's not going to be able to get back to this wave like ever. He does decide to do so, as now Keen could be the one in trouble. Keen had the scissors out and chops him down.
Aos 24 minutos, a Gen.G estava com 3 dragões, faltando um pra alma. O dragão nasce e a HLE consegue vencer a luta e garantir o dragão. Aos 28 minutos, após conseguir 2 abates, a Gen.G garante o Baron. Aos 30, mais uma luta pelo dragão.
To keep himself safe. And now the flash in, he gets under, he managed to cancel it! Public execution is still going to be able to find Zeus away into the backline, but the Cataclysm is there from Canyon to buy the space, and Zeka goes down! Zeus is going to follow suit, and he tried as he might, but Gen.G are going to win out!
Aos 36, outra luta intensa por mais um dragão.
This is the long con from Canyon, can he find the angle? Duro goes in, but the Steadfast Presence stops it, it denies it, and there is the Empress Divine doing absolutely nothing. Ruler this time gets the last laugh as they dive on forward. It's the resurrection here for a Canyon as HLE now trying to do what they can. Viper is still alive with so much damage. Ruler is there as well, but the artillery not quite landing at 3 versus 3 after all is said and done.
He's running as fast as he can.
He's going to try and get there as soon as he can, but I don't know whether it's quite going to
Here
work.
we go.
Canyon needs to hit this smite. He does it. It's taken by Viper. Mega Inferno Bomb gets rid of Duro, but now Canyon, can he find the damage in this one? And he should be able to, but no, the satchel gets him over, and the Q is not enough. HLE even out the Drakes.
Pouco tempo depois, aos 38, a HLE ganha uma luta próxima ao Baron e garante o objetivo. Aos 42, a HLE garante a alma do dragão e ganha a luta. Eles tentam finalizar o jogo, mas Chove encaixa uma bela ultimate.
As Ruler just doing his best. The Baron is worn off. Mega Inferno Bomb this time not going to connect to it. Shockwave is going to connect as well. As Chovy takes down one, Ruler takes the other, and HLE.
Aos 45, mais uma luta no Baron. Zek encaixa uma boa ultimate de Azir, mas Peanut acaba empurrando o Ruler e Canyon para fora com a ultimate do Xin Zhao.
And it's not looking that close to ending just yet. Satchel is decent there. As let's see what the pop he can get done. It hits two. It's Ruler and Chovy. And Zeus looks to get in there, and now Duro should be the first one to fall, but no one's gone down yet. Zeka is the first one to go, as now Zeus gets chopped up by Keen. The bouncing bombs are still there, though. Viper is at full health, but Gwen is immune. Chovy is... Okay, the Baron lost interest.
E caso você não tenha visto, Peanut quase tem um piripaque no meio da luta. Aos 51 minutos, a Gen.G garante o dragão ancião e logo depois o Baron. Aos 57, Peanut é pego fora de posição e a última luta da partida tem início.
And they see that none of Gen.G are at this area. They're setting up for a play. As Ruler goes forward, Canyon looks to get the knock-up. He does find it. There is the chain as well. As Peanut might be caught out of position. He has a GA, but now he's in such an awkward spot. He tries to get himself out of there, and he survives. He's dodging the needlework. He finds the heal, as Canyon might be traded for this one. Delight goes in, looks for the angle, but they've managed to take 2. And now Gen.G, they move themselves forward. Viper's still alive. The Empress Divide doing a fair bit of damage. As Mega Inferno Bomb deals with that wave, but he needs another one for the next. Zeus is doing such a good job as they look to take down the Nexus. Starts the Nexus is now exposed. Zeus, he finds one, and there it is. Gen.G will reach match point.
A terceira partida foi tranquila para a HLE, que abriu mais de 10 mil de ouro de vantagem e finalizou o jogo em 31 minutos. A quarta e última partida foi uma vitória convincente da Gen.G, que avançou para as semifinais por 3-1. A próxima série foi entre KT e CFO. Honestamente, foi um stomp completo da KT. Eles venceram os 3 jogos de forma tranquila e avançaram. A mesma coisa aconteceu entre Top Esports e G2. A única diferença é que a G2 conseguiu vencer uma partida, 3-1 para a TES, que avançou para as semifinais. Agora, a série entre T1 e N1's Legend foi emocionante. Na primeira partida, a AL estava na frente, mas a T1 garantiu os 3 primeiros dragões. Na luta pelo quarto, a T1 vence, pega a alma e, a partir daí, assume total controle do jogo. 1-0. No segundo jogo, o Faker selecionou Anivia e apresentou uma gameplay de qualidade duvidosa.
Faker on the Anivia in this mid wave.
He's looking for that public execution, and he finds it. Faker gets jumped on. Flandra going in, trying to proc the rebirth, and they get it. They've scrambled the egg, and there's the feat of warfare for anyone's legend. Faker making his way forward, but T1's not going to find anybody. They also
Doran's
using
in behind.
the teleport now. Doran coming up behind him. The Rumble's already arrived into the fight as Tarzan tries to find some damage onto Faker. Shanks looking to cut him off. The egg, again, the rebirth is triggered as Flandra's made his way into the fight, and Gumayusi goes back over the wall.
Understanding that this could be their moment to try and bring the game back in their favor. That fight, that flash from Tarzan, the TPs though.
Faker jumping into a spot that he should not be. He doesn't get slammed to the wall, but he's far back enough that he cannot stay alive. Hope runs after Doran. The auto attacks cutting through the Rumble. A little bit more is needed, and a little bit more will be found. Keria presents himself on a silver platter, and it's AL eaten good. He can take care of those super minions. Everybody else groups up to defend the only remaining tier 3 turret, but over the wall goes Tarzan. Faker's got to try to stay safe. Into the back line. Public execution onto Faker. Redemption's not there in time. The egg has already been procced, but he will not be reborn. A kill onto Owner follows. AL's already found 2, and they want Gumayusi. Doran and Keria will be next to die as T1 are wiped off of Summoner's Rift. Anyone's legend with a clean ace to win Game 2.
O jogo 3 começou bem equilibrado, com as duas equipes pegando abates e objetivos. Após uma luta aos 22 minutos, a T1 vence e chega a abrir uma vantagem de mais de 4.000 de ouro. Parecia uma vitória fácil da T1, mas aos 29 minutos, a AL inicia uma luta em Faker, que estava sozinho na top lane.
Faker trying to get away, goes golden to buy himself an extra second. Through the wall they go, tempered fate from Faker, keeping himself alive as Doran's under the back line. Hope is under pressure, Faker's still alive for now. Hope gonna be cut down. Doran going in and Faker's already cut down first. Hope next to die. It's a 1-for-1. AL's in the middle of everybody as Tarzan has to try to get away, and Keria is gonna be focused, but he finds a pull over the wall beforehand. Flandra pulled in, but Doran shut down. Gumayusi over the wall with another satchel as Tarzan wants to find a little bit more, but he dies. Gumayusi and Owner working together as Guma dies to Shanks. Owner wants another. Flandra needs to get away, and he hops between worlds. The Abyss can't chase him down. Flandra gets back over the wall, and Shanks is ready to flash. Owner will get knocked into the Guardian Angel. Keria is the only one left alive, and that Guardian Angel will not hear the prayers of T1. It's a 4-for-2.
Após vencer a luta, a AL garante a alma do dragão e logo depois o Baron. Aos 37 minutos, as duas equipes se posicionam para fazer o dragão ancião, e a última teamfight do jogo começa.
Gumayusi continues to throw bouncing bombs. Elder Dragon down to 3,000. Fate Seal cuts through, but the stasis gonna lock everybody up. Tarzan's gonna be your focus. Mega Inferno bomb over the top of the Elder is secured by anyone's legend, and they're continuing the fight. Faker is about to be executed as Doran falls too. Anyone's legend is murdering T1 as anyone's legend forces T1 to match point and takes Game 3.
Na quarta partida, Keria mostrou como baitar com o clone da Nico.
Claw hits 2, but Flandra can't get any closer. Owner wants to take the objective. Paranoia's already gone out. Herald secured by Owner as the Ornhorn comes in, but only finds one. Keria locks up Hope. Gumayusi into the back line, and the AL AD carries already down. Owner tries to flash away. Doran in the middle of everybody, but Flandra barely stays alive. He should surely die right after the shield falls, and Owner kills him. Kael's on the run. T1's on the hunt. Everybody on AL's dropping, and T1 are absolutely demolishing the LPL team.
Aos 25 minutos, a T1 estava na frente, mas a AL ainda conseguia vencer as teamfights.
Side also T1 ready to reinforce. Ornhorn sounds off. Doran goes in. They're going to knock up Kael here at the very start, but into the back line. T1, Faker under pressure. The burst over the mid laner. They found him, but Hope is also already down. Shanks next to die. The Arcane Storm is a typhoon, but AL is fighting back. More damage to Gumayusi. Flandra wants him. Flandra can't find him. The mace will not connect over the wall. And now Tarzan goes on a killing spree. AL are winning another fight. Doran Doran locked up. He gets away with a teleport to stay alive.
Aos 33 minutos, a T1 garante o Baron e a alma do dragão. Eles se juntam para o push final e Keria executa mais um belo engage.
But again, nobody under serious threat. Tarzan with an impale onto one, but he's about to die. He flashes away. Guma flashes in. Keria with a three-man Pop Blossom will seal the fate of anyone's legend. Guma with a triple. Guma with a quadra. Only Flandra stands. Gumayusi finally dies, but AL will die with him. T1 will not go quietly. They will force down the Nexus turrets. They will move to the Nexus, and they will take us to Silver Scrapes.
O quinto e último jogo da série começou disputado. Aos 12 minutos, a AL consegue uma boa teamfight.
Oh, Tarzan though.
Tarzan with the Arctic Assault trying to get back into it now. Shanks could be the one under pressure, wants to fire back into the T1 lines. Owner flashing away, staying alive, but there's the Glacial Prison. Only connects under the tank, but Flandra's arrived into the fight. They fight too! Anyone's legend got exactly what they were looking for. Faker at least gets one back, but he falls as well.
O jogo segue equilibrado e aos 23 minutos, a T1 consegue o quarto dragão. Mesmo com a alma, a equipe coreana não conseguia ganhar as teamfights.
Still, I like this from AL. See if they can find those picks. See if they can play off a vision. That's some damage onto Owner.
Yeah, they're going to commit onto the Doctor. Mundo! Shanks has killed him. Owner is dead. You want to talk about clutch moments? There you go. Tarzan and Flandra going forward. Faker's going to be caught. So much damage from AL. Faker about to die. Shanks on a rampage. Anyone's legend. 2 huge kills.
The soul is not enough when the heart of the LPL is with anyone's legend.
Shanks on the side, no ulti available for the Syndra here just yet. Tarzan over the wall wants to go in after Keria. Infernal Chains are going to connect. This Seraphine is down. Tarzan is traded, but Doran has died too. It's Gumayusi against anyone's legend as he tries to kite and fight, but he's stunned. Good night, good kill for Shanks. AL delayed ace.
Com 30 minutos de jogo, a AL tinha quase 5.000 de ouro na frente. Então, o Dragão Ancião nasce e ambas as equipes se posicionam para fazer o objetivo.
Elder Drake started, but so slowly. Flandra gonna move forward, try to clear away the control ward. They're going in after the Aatrox. They set him up with the arrow. Flandra has been caught at a critical moment. Over the wall goes Tarzan. Wild Growth coming in from Kael. Guardian Angel will bring Flandra back, but where is the damage on AL's side? Doran into the back line. Kael is already down. Doran killed in response. T1 pushing forward. Shanks the next kill. Hope trying to kite. He needs to get away. Okay, T1, they've got to understand this Aatrox is probably their target. Flandra arrives. Solar Snare looking to lock him up. Owner taking a ton of damage. Hope is excited. Flandra's got the kill. Solar Snare on Hope, but it's not going to do any more. Flandra's going to try to get away. Goes back in here for the Q1. Tarzan wants to engage with the Gumayusi, but he cannot find him. Flandra over the wall. Wants Faker. Can't get the damage. Hope can't do it either. Gumayusi's still alive. T1 out team fight anyone's legend for another delayed ace.
Após a luta, a T1 garante o Dragão Ancião e o Baron. Eles se juntam e vão para o push final.
Flandra and the rest of AL scrambling to try to defend. Nexus turret's down to about half HP. Owner takes some burst. Tarzan takes more. T1 looking for the engage. They found Flandra, but he gets away. Half HP on the front line of AL. T1 pushing forward. They've made their way on the Nexus. AL scrambles to the bend. Doran can't do it. History is written by the victors. And yet again, T1 turns the page of the LPL. They will once again earn their place in the semifinals.
O primeiro confronto das semifinais foi entre Gen.G e KT. Na primeira partida da série, a Gen.G começou com uma bela teamfight.
Half of a champ if he can't get onto the backline, still looking for the engage. Meanwhile, the cease and desist into the quickness combo. A double charm comes out from Duro and Gen.G just rip the hearts out of KT.
Aos 23 minutos, foi a vez da KT executar uma ótima luta.
Towards the top side of his jungle, Drake down to 2,000 HP. Peter with the Pop Blossom, and a fight flowers for KT. BDD dives in. Gen.G are left routed as Ruler has nowhere to go. Flashes, but with an ace in the hole, one more bullet in Dog Dam's shot. A Cataclysm, the tomb for Ruler as KT KT clean up the fight.
Aos 27, a Gen.G ganha uma teamfight, faz o Baron e abre uma diferença de 6.000 de ouro. 7 minutos depois, mais uma luta acontece, e mesmo com uma grande desvantagem, a KT bate de frente, com destaque para a atuação de BDD, o famoso bom de dedo.
The rest of Gen.G, Canyon's gonna go into the Guardian Angel, but the Angel's on his shoulder, might be enough, fate sealed! From BDD onto the backline, they'll look for Ruler, keen flashes! Get down, Mr. Ruler, as he blocks the shot from the ace in the hole, Decimating Smash again! Perfect looking for more, BDD going in with Immortal Strike 3, tries to get onto Ruler, the damage doesn't tick, Ruler still stands, and Keen will run for him, BDD finds another Ruler down, just the mid lane is left alive, BDD versus Chovy, we've seen it so many times over the years.
Após a luta, a KT corre para o dragão e garante a alma. Pouco depois, as duas equipes se encontram no Baron para mais uma teamfight.
And his team definitely taking a risk. Canyon is behind him.
Duro looking for that redemption because he's still got the quickness. They'll dive onto Perfect and they lock him down. He dies in the River of Fate Seal. Onto the back line with the Cataclysm out as well. But Ruler still stands, taken out in the end by BDD, who's now making a swift retreat. Dogdam in the pit, caught out by Duro. The headshot. He loads another into the chamber, but he can't quite get the damage down. BDD looking for more as he sees his teammates fall. He can't find it. Gen.G somehow win out the fight.
And the Baron stayed least throughout all of that.
Com o buff do Baron em mãos, a Gen.G se junta para pressionar a top lane e, mais uma vez, BDD, o bom de dedo, brilha com um ótimo engage.
Only 40 seconds left on this barrier.
BDD goes in and he tries to seal the fates of Chovy, but he pops a stopwatch and the Snapzap gets him. Cataclysm onto the backline. Gen.G have already lost their mid laner. A GA coming out for KT as they manage to back away. Gen.G lose to BDD, wants to make it more, can't find it, but KT hold on.
Agora é a KT que assume o controle do jogo. Garantem o dragão ancião, o Baron e aos 46 minutos finalizam a partida. 1-0. O segundo jogo foi o com mais abates na série. Aos 22 minutos, acontece uma das melhores teamfights da partida.
Drake down to 6,000, Perfect still peeking his head out as they dive in. Canyon looking for the steal here, but it's Cuz that gets it. BDD forced to flash away. Here is Angels from Chovy in the pit. Keen diving forward. Ruler caught out by Perfect. Canyon falling lower as Cuz finds two. KT winning the fight on the bottom side, but the top side is all in favor of Keen. Ruler almost going down. Chovy still on the chase. Dogdam trying to get away. Perfect and Peter trying to protect him. The flash away from Dogdam. The taunt short from Chovy. Chovy falls. Only the top laners left alive, and Perfect will burrow his way away.
Aos 28, Ruler consegue um ótimo pick-off e a Gen.G vai em direção ao Baron. A KT chega para contestar e mais uma teamfight começa.
Can jump in, the winds of war from Chovy. Duro knocked up, redemption out. Canyon almost falling as Cuz dives into the pit. There's no jungler there. Canyon goes in and he manages to land the smite. KT now on the back foot, public execution from Keen, not quite connecting, and KT turn and burn. Peter's here for a little bit more. The hero's entrance won't be quick enough to save his support. Perfect diving onto that back line. Chovy falling lower, Keen forced away towards the top side. Chovy with a stopwatch, Dogdam can't land. The piercing arrow through that flash away, the Realm Warp gets KT out, but Gen.G secure the Baron.
Após garantir o Baron, a Gen.G assume total controle e finaliza a partida. 1-1. O terceiro jogo foi marcado pela ótima atuação de BDD em cima de Chovy.
Now starting to build towards that Chovy lead we all know and love as
Empress Fight, he tries to flash away from it, he slammed into the wall. Chovy, take a pew. Your church is closed.
and again that's with BDD not having a splash.
Oh my god, he got solo killed.
Grand Starfall in from Canyon as he looks for the chase onto BDD, but BDD still has the flash, and he'll jump over the wall! Duro and Canyon and Chovy still looking for the flanks. BDD might face check into it, and Charter Crystal coming out, but BDD uses the soldiers to check for him, his bodyguards, as he forces Chovy away. Canyon falls, Duro likely to follow suit soon. Chovy teleports out and dies anyway!
He gets taken down, it's another kill, and it's gonna be the Baron here for KT.
Trying to defend The solo player BDD slides away from it. You can't catch me. Starfall in, but Canyon's locked up. The keeper's verdict knocks back one. Cuz goes in for the chase, but can't quite find the damage on the Canyon. But here comes Doctam for the rest of it. Keen with the whole world on his shoulders as he pops the world ender. But he's stunned up, locked up, and taken out by KT. Another name on the list for KT. They take their destiny into their own hands as they go one game away from finals.
Na quarta partida, mais uma vez, BDD teve uma performance excepcional com sua Cassiopeia, encaixando belas ultimates desde o começo.
The second grub as they pull it in with a hostile takeover eaten by the unbreakable BDD with a great petrifying gaze. Finds three. Juro chased away here, has to flash. Ruler doing the same. Doctam still on the chase. Chovy able to pick up BDD on the back line. The wall enough to save Ruler. Genji get out with two grubs and a 1-for-1. Still on that Baron, 5,000 on it as Canyon looks for a flank position. The Baron, the target for KT, they'll smite it, they'll secure it. Doctam stepping forward, dashing onto Keen. The damage on the Perfect as well, but a petrifying gaze once again from BDD. He sends Genji home in body bags.
Na última teamfight, a KT executa um combo perfeito e finaliza o jogo.
The Elder down to 7,000, good stun coming out. The corner of the port got Juro blocks, the Glacial Fisher out as well. The Elder secured as KT, they get it, and Doctam is flashing forward. Ruler rules no longer. KT clean up the fight, and now march down mid. As we see no defense available for Genji. KT are going to finals!
Pela primeira vez na história, a KT chega a uma final do Mundial de League of Legends. Na outra semifinal, a T1 simplesmente passou o trator por cima da TES com 3-0 dominante e garantiu a vaga na final. A última série do torneio estava definida. De um lado, KT, buscando o primeiro título mundial da organização. Do outro, T1, buscando o 6º título. O primeiro jogo começou acelerado por parte da KT. Aos 10 minutos, eles já dominavam a partida. 5 abates e um dragão.
As Doctam going in, Hunter's volley not quite enough. Now Carry is looking to finish the job himself. Slowly but surely, the Poppy whittling him down. Doctam forced to flash away, but Carry hungry for blood. A little bit more time. The Q flash forward. Doctam with a bit of a sidestep, extra movement speed, trying to make it through the minions. Doctam living for an extra moment, avoiding the angle back into the wall. Carry gets the knockback. The cleanse coming out. 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. The wraparound. Braum is there. Wukong is there. Doctam on the way down. He won't be there in time. However, Unbreakable Peter looking to mark him up. Concussive blows finally hitting. Auto attack reset more than enough. Guma Yushi falls at the hands of Cuz. And have a good game is crucial for KT's game plan as the ulti doesn't connect from Doran. That's crushing. Very likely would have been a sure thing on the initial kill, and now Perfect wants to go for the all-in. Carry on the way up, but Perfect is completely overheated. Buying a bit more time to overheat now as he turns back into the wave. Damage coming in, and the rest of the team has arrived. Spinning right on top of Doran, it is a Cyclone. Carrier running for his life, concussed, taken down. KT dominating game 1.
Entretanto, na primeira grande teamfight do jogo, Cuz tenta o engage e Keria reage de forma quase instantânea.
Eyes on the equalizer, redemption now used, cooldown up just in time. KT is going, but now they want to turn it right back. Instantaneous equalizer. Keria locked up, Rumble coming in but denied. Keria wants to knock Perfect out of the fight, but it might not matter because it's Doran into the back line. Owner stays standing. Cuz take it down. T1 fired back.
A partir daí foi um massacre. A T1 venceu todas as próximas lutas, ampliaram para mais de 12 mil de ouro de diferença e finalizaram aos 36 minutos. 1-0. O jogo 2 começou mais lento que o anterior, mas novamente com a KT ganhando o early game. 4 mil de ouro de vantagem. Aos 18 minutos acontece a primeira grande luta.
Perfect spots them in the darkness. The Tremor Sense showing him what he needs to see, but they've stopped moving. Or have moved out of range. He can't be certain now. The Q from Doran moving in. Peter still gets the ulti. It's a golden eclipse from BDD. A new dawn for KT in game 2. But T1 are unconcerned. Guma, Keria standing. The bot lane. Will it be enough? BDD trying to buy her back, but it's Guma Yushi. Fearlessly advancing. Ricocheting. Tearing through the dreams of KT.
Parecia um replay do primeiro jogo. KT abre vantagem, mas perde as teamfights. Entretanto, 1 minuto depois, as equipes voltam a se encontrar no Dragão. E dessa vez, a KT leva a melhor.
Is a team fighting demon. The dragon starting to fall. Turn back from Faker as he catches out Dom. Cuz there to try and peel, but it is too late. Owner moving in. A cataclysm across the top side. Perfectly canceled. BDD flashing over the wall. Gumayusi still living. Perfect on the chase. Peter wants to fire back. Cuz running for the hills. 2 down on the side of T1. But Guma might be enough. Perfect gets the bite. Tears right through him, and now it's Owner picked off as well. KT fighting for their lives. BDD still standing. Crucially, the extra damage. Doran set to fall. A double kill for the KT mid laner.
Aos 33 minutos, a KT consegue um pick-off crucial em Faker e faz o Baron. Aos 37, garantem a alma do dragão e tentam finalizar, mas não há tempo suficiente. Pouco depois, aos 40, fazem o Baron novamente e fecham o jogo. 1 a 1. O terceiro jogo não teve grandes acontecimentos até os 11 minutos, quando os times se encontraram no dragão para uma teamfight cheia de reviravoltas.
Ready to transcend if he needs to. Doctem going all in to try to stop him from getting his fight. Owner on the way in, looking for the reset to keep the fights going. BDD going over, wants to kill Owner, but Owner lives for an extra second. The stun to turn it back. Owner taking over BDD, but the stun does not connect, and Peter's now running. Cuz locked down in the meantime. Perfect is finally here, but it might not matter. Reset on the ulti from Owner means he gets to back away, but the health bars are low across all of T1 KT. This is an insane gamble. Objective lower and lower, and Cuz is taking unstoppable for Perfect. Gets a bit more space. Carrier still living. Doctem on the way in, and Guma set the fall. Down goes the 80 carry. Doctem on the way out. The TP in. Fish in a barrel, and it's time for KT to start free firing. T1 thought they had the edge, but in the end, it's KT who take the Drake and the play.
A partida fica equilibrada até os 26 minutos, quando a KT faz um bait pro Baron e consegue 2 abates. Logo depois, eles voltam ao objetivo, e os sobreviventes da T1 chegam para contestar.
Potential 50-50. The Mundo damage. The auto carrier trying to zone. Peter on the way and wants to knock them out of the fight. The objective getting lower and lower, but all of T1 deleted in the blink of an eye. KT take everything.
Com a vantagem, a KT assume total controle da partida e fecha o jogo. 2 a 1. A quarta partida ficou marcada pela precisão absurda do smite de Owner. Aos 5 minutos, ele flecha para roubar o dragão.
Carrier and Guma are powerful. They move in with the heal. A pillar to immediately block them out. The 50-50 goes to Owner.
Aos 17, vence a disputa de smite contra Cuz. Aos 22, sai vivo por pouco e garante a alma do dragão para a T1.
Faker's gonna teleport back. They're recalling Mordekaiser and the Anivia.
The fight just continues to go. 6K getting lower. Doctem trying to get a bit of poke. Hostile takeover connecting. They don't have a cleanse. Devour from Peter is good, but it might not matter. Cuz continuing to move in. BDD waiting over the wall. The ulti is there, but they don't need to face him yet. The turn on to Faker isn't enough. 3K. Cuz in the pit. At the end of the day, it does not matter because it is Doran to get the soul. KT might be able to get the fight, but there's too many members of T1 standing. Ocean Soul to T1 as everybody on KT fall.
A partir daí, a T1 dominou completamente e empatou a série, 2 a 2. A quinta e última partida do Worlds 2025 começou intensa. BDD executa um dive em Faker logo aos 4 minutos.
Do I have jungle pressure to put threat behind when I move up in lane and try and taunt you? And now you don't have that pressure at all.
Q forward, sidestep, the taunt, Faker turning it back, BDD one more auto, the 1-for-1!
Do outro lado, o top laner da KT sofria ao ser campado.
And ganking again.
Perfect needs to get out. Has the flash available, but Dorn just going to immediately flash fall. The adaptive defensive, the hook shot still there. The Q back for a bit of healing, but it's not enough.
And the Camille Galio
Faker.
Leona combo is
moving down. That's the combo. Locks him in the ultimatum. Finds the damage. The taunt is there, and Doran takes another.
oh perfect.
Doran on the way up. The Maiden summoned. Doran, though, he's got backup. Owner on the way in, locked once again in the ultimate of Doran. But Perfect living for an extra second. The Q2 coming through just in time.
Aos 17 minutos acontece a primeira grande luta do jogo.
T1 might just be a little bit late here. Cuz desperately needs to smite. Doesn't quite connect. Crucially, Dr. able to get out for a brief moment. BDD now trying to turn and fire back, but Faker is on the way. Ulti going in. Doran is down. BDD still standing. The exhaust managing to take him a little bit lower, but Gumayusi sits on the back line completely untouched. BDD finally able to start opening up. His owner gets one back in return. Perfect is here to keep his mid laner alive. And there you go. KT find an angle to keep it close.
That's 2 shutdowns for BDD.
Aos 21, mais uma luta. Agora pelo Atacan.
T1 pushing them back. It'll take a miracle for them to get this one out. Owner, Peter coming in for the lockup, but Owner manages to get the objective. The fight coming out. Fire rained over the wall by Gumayusi, and down goes Peter. BDD finally arrived. That's the ulti coming in the meantime. He needs a little bit more space. Doctom, BDD untouched, but the front line has fallen. BDD, CC'd, knocked into the sky, and right back into the grave. T1, get Otacon, and ace KT.
Depois disso, a KT não conseguiu se recuperar. Aos 36 minutos, a T1 aplica um ace e finaliza a série.
There can be no doubting it. 4 players on the Rift today, making the impossible possible. Owner, Faker, Gumayusi, Keria, and now Doran as well are world champions.
And the disbelief on his face. A teammate that so many have praised over the long years.
T1 world champions once again.
E eu quero saber de você, qual foi a melhor partida de todo o campeonato? Comenta aqui embaixo. Também não se esqueça de participar da Black Friday do Editor de Respeito. É só clicar no primeiro link da descrição ou no comentário fixado. E também clica nesse vídeo, ó, que tá passando aqui do meu lado, em que eu conto como era o League of Legends antigo. Eu tenho certeza que você vai adorar esse conteúdo. Clica nele pra assistir, eu te vejo lá, um forte abraço, até a próxima! Falou!